What's up, everyone? Welcome to Podcastillo, episode 6. I am your host, Raul Castillo, and as you can see, today is a special edition solo cast in honor of International Podcast Day, which was on September 30th. First of all, I want to say that was an awesome experience. I started following and I started to pay attention to a bunch of other podcasters on an international level. I got to Skype with some people from the UK. Like I said, I've always been representing Ireland, my people from Ireland, and some people from Canada. So this is awesome. I've got to meet people and network with them. I look forward to collaborating with them in the near future. So stay in tune. Stay tuned for that. But yeah. International Podcast Day was a big deal for me because I'm just getting started in the podcast industry, and in this short amount of time, podcasting and this podcast has really changed my life. For the better. It's got me on it. It's uplifted my spirits as far as now I look forward to taking care of these podcasts and making sure that everything is correct. I look forward in trying to improve the quality, whether it be the video quality, but whether it be the audio quality. And like I always tell you guys, this is just the beginning. Things are moving up and they're progressing, and I hope to, one day have a full-fledged podcast where I can talk to actual athletes, as far as like a professional level or a semi pro level. I look forward to having a bunch of better things in the background, maybe a sponsorship or two. So if you guys know anyone that's looking to sponsor a podcast, keep me in mind. But yeah, I really plan on it's not even talking about the merch, merch, stuff like that. I'm really planning to expand the brand and to continue to provide different episodes and different type of entertainment for you all the supporters. So thank you all very much for that. And here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to try my best to, keep you guys entertained during the solo cast. It's very different and difficult. It's kind of like weird a little to not have my co-host Neri here or to have a guest here. It's kind of really weird, just staring into the camera and speaking into the mic. And don't mind the headphones. I'm monitoring my sound just to make sure that everything is crisp and clear for you all. Just a few housekeeping things. I want to tell you that I submitted the podcast for iTunes review. So I'm hoping that comes to be. Hopefully, this will be my first episode on iTunes in audio only format. I'm going to continue to do the videos just because I started out this way. People really enjoy it, and I know when I watch my podcast, I like the video aspect as well. I pay attention to the fighter and the kid. I watch Joe Rogan's podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, and although Michael Rappaport, the I'm Rappaport podcast, which is my favorite one, doesn't have a video aspect, I love to see Mike Rapp when he's on Fighter and the Kid and when he's on Sports Center. So I've always liked to listen to sports. I love sports. But there's something about watching the people that are speaking. For instance, if I know some of you guys, just like me, when we drive to work, we listen to the Breakfast Club in the morning. I love to sit back and watch the interviews on YouTube. So I'm going to continue to bring the audio and the video for all of you. So stay tuned to what's to come for that. So without further ado, let's talk some sports. I have to let you guys know that I just came back from New York City. I was at the 205 UFC 205 press conference, starring. It was like the Conor McGregor show. It was an absolute awesome time. Shout out to Jose. I met up with Jose out there in the city, and we got to take in the press conference, which was at the theater at Madison Square Garden. It's a big deal. Obviously, it's the first time that UFC is coming to the city. In 20 years, I believe, or 25 years. Don't you could fact check that. Don't quote me on that. Might be 20 or 25 years since mixed martial arts has been legal in the New York City area, in New York State. So this is obviously a big deal. It's the best card ever for UFC. It's UFC 205. Let me run through the card with you now, and I'll do my picks on the card, and then I also want to open it up for maybe a next episode to come where I can then speak to whoever the guest is on the show at that time to see what their picks are. So just give me a sec while I pull up the card, and I will then run through it with you to tell you my picks. It's an awesome card from prelim all the way to main event. It's really a beautiful thing to see. So here we go. Without further ado, I'm going to start from the bottom up. That way, you guys get to see my main event pick at the end. Um, Also, I have a cool story, by the way. But so hold on. Here we go for the women's bantamweight. The women's bantamweight division. It's number one Misha Tate versus number eight Raquel Pennington. I have Misha Tate on this. I love Misha Tate's. I just love her aggressiveness and her aggressive nature in the octagon. She could take a hit and then she'll keep coming. She gets dropped, she comes back up, and to be honest, she's probably maybe top three fighters that we've seen in the last 10 years. It's just unfortunate that when people talk about Cyborg and they talk about Ronda, Misha's got to be in that conversation somewhere because Misha's early two losses were to Ronda Rousey. So she's definitely an A-level fighter, and I'm definitely picking her to win that fight. Next, we have Kelvin Gastelum versus Cowboy Donald Cerrone. I'm rocking with Cowboy on that. I think Cowboy looks great in this division, in the 170 division. So I hope he stays there. Although I know he said he was going to go back down to 55. I hope he really stays at 70, but we'll see what happens. I definitely have Cerrone on that one. Middleweight bout, which is an exciting bout that people haven't really been talking about, but it's really going to be an exciting fight. It's going to be Chris Weidman versus Joel Romero. I'm sorry about that. I got Chris Weidman on this. It's Chris Weidman's anticipated return. If you don't know, his last fight was against Luke Rockhold, where he lost his belt. And then Luke Rockhold ended up losing that same belt to Michael Bisping, the current champion. So I have Chris Weidman winning this fight, and I believe that this will cement his place in maybe next fight being a title shot, or one fight away from a title shot, but he's up next. I know that for sure. UFC Women's Strawweight Championship. So it's Joanna versus Carolina. I would love to try to say their last names, but I'm not going to because it wouldn't be good. Obviously, Joanna is the champion. Their face-off at the conference was crazy. Joanna, just in general, is just a really aggressive-minded fighter, and she likes to get, like in the opponent's face, which is awesome, from a fan's perspective. So that's really cool. I have Joanna retaining her championship belt. She's really technical. She's really aggressive in there, and I don't see anyone in that division taking that belt from her for a little while. The funny story with this fight is that they're both Polish, so there's a lot of different storylines that you can write on that. Either way, Poland is going to be happy. Shout out to my boy Fick. Shout out to my boy Sebastian representing Poland. So that should be an exciting fight. Also on the card, on this card is not something that Dana White announced at the press conference. He also announced that Khabib will be fighting Michael Johnson, which is going to be a really good fight. On that fight, I'm going with Khabib. I think Khabib is a beast. He's a monster with the grappling. And to be honest with you, a lot of people are running from him. He keeps taunting people on Twitter and Instagram, so you should follow him. He's a good follow. He wants Eddie or Connor, and he's not hiding that. He wants to fight one of them. He's 22-0, which is crazy to me, as he doesn't have a title shot yet. But he's 22-0, and he's up and coming, and he really wants to fight these guys. So be on the lookout for Khabib. I have him winning that fight over Michael Johnson. UFC Welterweight Championship of the World is going to be Tyron Woodley versus the number 2 contender, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. This is a toss-up fight for me. I know that T Wood just won the title by knocking out Robbie Lawler, which was his nickname is Ruthless Robbie Lawler, and that nickname is well deserved because he's a monster. He just keeps coming forward. I remember he had that crazy fight with Rory McDonald, and yeah, T Wood knocked him out in record time for a title match, I believe. It might have not been record time, but he beat him up pretty quickly. And T Wood wanted to then fight with Connor, or he wanted to do a GSP fight. He was saying, I don't think I want to fight Wonder Boy. I want a super fight because I fought all this time. I put my time in. Let me make some money now." But it didn't work out that way. Connor got the next fight up, and Tyron Woodley's defending against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And in this fight, I'm picking Wonderboy. I think that at the end of the day, Wonderboy's kicks, his agility is going to be a little too much for T Wood. Although T Wood is a wonderful fighter, he's a championship level fighter. I kind of feel like I've seen a change in him since he won the belt. So I think that that's going to be that's going to play a big issue in this fight. I'm not saying that he's underestimating Wonderboy. I'm saying that when he became champion, he changed a bit. He's becoming a bit complacent. He does a lot of work on the TV for FS1 for Fox Sports. So you never know. I'm picking Wonderboy Thompson. And without further ado, for the main event, Eddie Alvarez, who is the UFC lightweight champion, he's going to go against Conor McGregor, who is the UFC featherweight champion. This is a super fight that's been a few months in the making. As far as McGregor being a featherweight champion and going up against lightweight champion. Obviously, he was supposed to fight Dos Anjos, and that fight fell through. He ended up fighting Nate Diaz, and that led up to two wonderful fights and a bunch of monster cans being thrown and a great storyline. So here we go. Conor has a chance to be the first person ever, which is kind of crazy. The stipulation that I think stands out the most to me is this. Conor is still the current featherweight champion. Now, if he beats Eddie Alvarez, it's not like he's going to vacate that featherweight championship. He's going to keep that belt, and then he will become the lightweight champion, which is crazy to me. I know that a big issue has come up where Jose Aldo thought that he was next in line. He basically was promised the next fight against Conor. He's actually the interim champion after beating Frankie Edgar. And look what happens. Dana White and the UFC show again that sometimes the money just means a little bit more. And I get what they're saying. From a fan's perspective, it's UFC 205, and they want to put this fight on where it's champion against champion. So I'm not mad. But on a principle level, if you're a business and you're promising one of your employees or an independent contractor, as they call the fighters, if you promise this person a next shot, then Jose Aldo was a champ for 9 years. He kind of deserves that shot. He does deserve that shot. His only loss in 9 years was to Conor McGregor, and that some would say was a lucky punch. Some would say it wasn't, but it was great timing. I don't know. But I feel as though he kind of deserves a shot. But as a fan and what I saw at the press conference, I'm not mad at all. I think, and this is kind of weird because I'm a really big Conor fan. I think Eddie's gonna get him, man. I'm going with Eddie Alvarez on that fight. And listen, I hope I'm wrong because if I'm wrong, it's still a win-win. Conor having both belts, this guy would never, ever, ever stop with the trash talk. If that were to happen, he'd make UFC history as the first fighter to ever hold two belts simultaneously. But I think that Eddie is going to be a bit too much for him. As we saw, and this was something that Eddie mentioned in the press conference, Conor paid $300K for that fight camp to go against Nate Diaz the second time, and he's still gassed out. Now, Eddie Alvarez is really known for his conditioning, and I think that that's going to play a big role in this fight. So be on the lookout for that. I definitely have Eddie Alvarez winning that. All in all, it's a great card. Like I said, I did go to the press conference. It was an awesome experience. Got to see all these great fighters, all this championship gold on the stage. Also got to see a few ad-libs, epic ad-libs from Conor McGregor, Jeremy Stephens. Who's on the card? Jeremy Stephens. He's fighting Frankie Edgar, which is awesome. How did I forget about that? I don't know. I forgot about that. Jeremy Stephens is fighting Frankie Edgar, and I definitely have Frankie Edgar beating Jeremy Stephens. So that's my last pick. So at the press conference, Jeremy Stephens, I don't know. I don't remember what the back and forth was, but there was a bit of a back and forth, and Jeremy Stephens basically said, "Hey Conor, when you TKO people, but when I knock them out, they don't move." That's what Jeremy said to Conor. So Conor was like so nonchalant about it. Conor was just like, he had the mic in his hand and he just looked back casually and he was like, "Who the F is that? Who the F was that?" And then it was just kind of one of those moments where it was like, Conor's this bigger than life kind of person. I was telling people at my job, this guy, when I saw him walk in, and I have the footage, I have some footage and stuff that I put on Instagram, and I have some more on the GoPro that I just haven't taken off the GoPro yet, and I'll definitely post that for you guys, maybe on a separate video. But this guy walks into the room, chest out, head up high, like, man, this guy, the character that he portrays, sometimes it's a little bit WWF, but for the most part, I mean, this guy seems to be living that life, the McGregor lifestyle. So, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of super fights on the horizons here at the UFC. And at the end of the day, although some people get cheated and some people don't, I think that the fans don't lose. It's always about the fans in UFC, and that's what makes it different than boxing. Boxing, we have all these people that pick and choose, In the UFC, it's the best against the best, and if you lose, it's no big deal. Whatever. You live to fight another day. In boxing, I feel like these boxers are really holding on to that and yeah, sure, it's making them a million here, a million there per fight. But in UFC, man, these guys are just going head up with whoever's the next big name. These people are hungry. They want to make the big checks, and I think that that's why we have yet to see what UFC is going to turn into. Now that they have the ability to tap into the biggest market in the world, New York City, I think the best is yet to come. So be on the lookout for that. Um, Also in the world of sports, baseball. Unfortunately, the world of baseball is mourning the untimely death of Jose Fernandez, pitcher for the Miami Marlins. Fortunately, he passed away uh, on a boating trip with two other friends. Um, it's a really big deal for Cuban Americans. It's a really big deal for baseball in general. This young man was 24 years old. He was already one of the dominant arms in the league, and the sky was the limit for this young man. And unfortunately, a late night boat trip has cost him his life. What the real sad part about it is that a few days before this news broke that he had passed away, he put a picture up on Instagram that his girlfriend was expecting, and he was really happy about that. So it's really a sad time for baseball. I know that he was scheduled to make a start against the Mets, and they did a big ceremony for him where all the Marlins wore number 16, and even Joannis Cespedes, the outfielder for the Mets, he taped up a 16 jersey, a number 16 jersey in the Mets clubhouse in his honor. So my condolences go out to Jose and his family. Obviously, it's a tough time for them. It's a tough loss for baseball, and it's a tough loss for fans and Cuban Americans. This is a young man that defected from Cuba on his third try. They made it known that on one of his attempts to escape Cuba, his mother fell off the boat in the middle of the night, and it was really dark out, and this young man jumped into the water and saved his mother. So if this guy is 24 years old, but he lived a life maybe, it's something that we see in movies. So it's really unfortunate that the young man had to pass away in such a tragic situation, and I guess we'll never know how good he could have been. But definitely he was he was going up in a his projection was going upwards. So yeah, it's a tough time. But in other news in baseball, uh, the playoff picture is starting to shape up. Big surprise on the AL is that the my Red Sox are in it. Not surprised in the AL. I know the Red Sox was going to make it happen. David Ortiz is having a great year. Ellsbury, Mookie Betts. We got good team. So I'm hoping that the Red Sox make it to the World Series and win. That's my team. But when I'm doing my show, I have to be unbiased and I have to be honest. I'm really scared about the Chicago Cubs coming out of the NL. Also, you can't sleep on the Mets. The Mets just barely made it on their wild card game, but they're in. And yeah, so I guess if I really want to make a prediction right now, even though it's super early, playoffs haven't even started yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to say that it's going to be a Chicago Cubs versus Boston Red Sox World Series. And let's see. I mean, I guess the fan in me would want to say the Red Sox, but the podcaster in me and bringing you all unbiased news, I'm probably going to have to say that it's looking like the 2016 world champions are going to be the Chicago Cubs. And it would be awesome if they were to win. I would love it because they have a big streak going on where they are the longest World Series winless team in the major leagues. So it's a really big deal. I know that when I was in high school, I don't really know the year, but one year when I was in high school, they had Moises Alou on the team, and they had made it to the playoffs, and they were one game, I believe, from going to the World Series, and that's when the dude Bartman put his hand over the railing and robbed Moises Alou from catching that out, and then they ended up losing, and they didn't go to the World Series. So they were saying that was a huge curse or whatever. They were cursed. The gentleman Bartman, he was ridiculed for a long time for that. So So yeah, we'll see what happens. It's been a long time coming. They have a bunch of young players that are heavy hitters. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think that it's going to be a Boston Red Sox versus Chicago Cubs World Series. And if I had to say, I would say Chicago Cubs in 7 games, just to be political. So there you go. That's some information on sports. Obviously, there was a little bit of a time lapse in me putting this episode out. So as we speak right now, some of the NFL games are going on. So I'm going to refrain from speaking on NFL. I'll catch up with that on the next show. Summer league, not summer league, preseason basketball started. I got to watch a bit of the game where it was I got to watch the Warrior game, and the Warriors look pretty good. I know that a lot of people wonder, there's only one basketball on the court. How is Steph, Draymond, Clay, and Kevin Durant going to share the ball? They looked pretty good. I mean, they lost the game, but Clay Thompson hit about three threes in the first quarter. And I saw that Durant's first points in a Golden State Warrior uniform was a nice little breakaway dunk, a two-hand dunk. So that was cool. Um, so yeah, from I hope that this news brings entertainment and joy to my fellow sports fans. I want to take the last few minutes of this podcast to just really talk to you about and reiterate the fact of why exactly it is that I'm doing this podcast, why exactly it is that I've ventured into this endeavor. And yeah, and the things that I want to share with you now is going to be kind of like a segment that I want to add to every episode. I know that there's a lot of people that support me as a person, but they're really not into sports. Let's face it, not everyone's into sports, not everyone's into pop culture, but people want to support me. So I feel as though I should have a segment in a show where I can give back to them and kind of, enlighten them on certain things that are going on in my life that I would like to share with them, whether it's some advice, whether it's some words of wisdom, or whether I'm seeking guidance from you guys. I want to be able to have that two-way communication where if I have a question, I want you guys to, either comment, reach out to me, send me an email, comment on the Instagram page, comment on the YouTube page, and soon you'll be able to contact me on the iTunes page. So without further ado, I just really want to talk about the reason as to why I'm podcasting. Why is this show what it is? Why did I come up with this idea? Why did I spend all this money on a microphone and a camera and a laptop and do all this stuff? Podcasting, like I said before, is really just something that's starting. It's something that I enjoy doing on my spare time. As far as watching podcasts, like I said, I do listen to them, and like I said before, and I'm going to continue to say it, you guys have to listen to this podcast, because if not, when you're driving to work, or when you're driving home, when you're driving to the gym, when you're driving to school, there's about 4 or 5 Drake songs on replay on the radio, and I'm not even exaggerating. Okay. So if you could take the time to, be productive, listen to some sports radio, listen to some podcasts, listen to Podcastillo, get some information on sports, get some information on pop culture, and also get some information on my day-to-day life. I'm trying my best to be relatable to all of you. I'm just a kid from a small town with a big dream, and really, that's really what I'm trying to, accomplish with this podcast. So, I've always been about a sports guy. As everyone else, like everyone else, my dreams when I was coming up was to go to the NBA, go to the NFL. And unfortunately, I didn't grow past 5'7", so 5'7.5", by the way. So unfortunately, I'm not going to the league for to play. I did dabble a little bit into coaching. So that really kind of brought a different perspective to things, and that's something that still interests me. But at this point in time, I'm not coaching. I'm not even paying attention to sports on that kind of level. Then the next thing was to the broadcast game. I love broadcasting. My big dream is to work for ESPN. Or for a big sports network, and be able to call games, meet all these players and interview them and ask them questions that just a regular person like me would want to know the answer to. So that's my big dream. And I'm big on dreams. As some of you may know, I have a background in the profession of education. So I'm really big on telling students and telling children and just my peers that if you have a dream, you have to follow it. And just because I'm 25 years old and I'm just starting up with a brand new dream, it's never too late. Like many of you know, I am a student, journalism student at Rutgers University, and this is something that really, really, really interests me, and I'm trying to take to the next level. I'm not just doing this just to do it for fun. Even though I'm not making any money off the podcast, it's something that really I want to prepare myself to do something bigger and greater things in the future. As you may know, I talked to Michael Rappaport in I was on one of Michael Rappaport's podcasts, and he gave me great advice, told me to keep my head up, keep my body in shape, and you never know what's gonna happen. The sky's the limit. So listen, I'm big on taking words and taking motivational messages and actually putting them to work. So that's what you guys see each and every time that I put on a show. It's me trying to do my best and taking the advice that I get from all of you and putting it into material. So yeah, if you have a dream, you got to go after it. Like I said before, you guys can look back to some of the older videos, my test video. I literally was up like at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, thinking, man, I really want to just like start a podcast. I love listening to these things. How cool would it be if I can maybe do something and maybe other people would like to listen to what I'm doing? And like I said, there's definitely people that have told me, that have laughed in my face, that said, oh, listen, don't waste your time. You can find better things to do with your time. But, me being the person that I am and being having that determination and that perseverance, I don't listen to the haters. I promise you, I've seen people in different places just randomly come up to me and tell me, hey, I've been watching your show. Keep it up, man. It's really awesome. And people hit me up on Instagram. They hit me up on Facebook. They hit me up on Twitter. They hit me up on YouTube, and they see me in person and they tell me these things, and that's really what makes it worthwhile. Obviously, even if I had 2 views on this thing and it was me double checking the quality of the video, I still would be happy because it's something that gives me kind of like a therapeutic release. I get to have all these sports things in my mind and I get to share them with you all. Yeah, sure, sometimes we get a little bit off track and we do like these wing challenges here, or we might joke around, but for the most part, I really want to give you guys content. I want to talk sports. I want you guys to join the conversation on what it is that you guys are thinking. And listen, I know that a lot of people want to come up, and I'm telling you now, I'm going to have a lot of guests on this show in the near future. I want people to come up. I'm still trying my best to network. I just came from a YouTube convention, which was awesome. Getting to meet more people. I took advantage of International Podcast Day, and I met other podcasters. And to be honest with you, from a podcasting perspective, I watch the ones that I watch. Like, for instance, like I always name them, Fighter and the Kid, with Brandon Schaub and Brian Callen. I Am Rappaport Podcast with Moody, last name rhyme with Duty, and Michael Rappaport, obviously, and I watch the Joe Rogan Experience. Those are the only podcasts that I watch right now, to be honest with you. Now, I meet other people, and other people, that I know personally are doing their own podcasts, and I listen. Sometimes I do take time to listen and watch them, but for the most part, I want to remain original, so I try my best to do exactly what it is that I want to do. That way, I'm not really influenced by anyone else, and then people are saying that this show is like this other show. No, I'm trying my best to be original. I'm trying my best to bring you guys news in the sports world, and I hope that you guys can follow me on this journey and you guys can support me. Please, please, please share the video. If you go on YouTube and you see it and you like it and you subscribe and you comment it, share it. Tell some people about it at work. Tell people about it at school. Please, I'm going to continue to keep up the good the work as far as like the content. I'm going to keep pushing material out to you guys. So please, if you have a friend that's into sports, let them know about Podcastillo. Follow the Instagram page at PODCASTILLO. Follow me on iTunes. Like I said, I'm speaking a little bit too soon, so please bear with me. The iTunes is not up yet. It's still up for review. I submitted it to iTunes. I'm going to say maybe within the next week, search Podcastillo on iTunes, and if all goes well, I'll be up there, and you can subscribe to my page on iTunes. And then when you're taking that long drive, wherever it is that you go, you can plug it in and listen to the Podcastillo on an audio-only version, on an audio-only format, okay? Now, if you happen to like the jerseys that I wear, or the hats, or whatever it is that I'm having on, and you like the video aspect, or you just like to see my face, feel free to watch the videos on YouTube and subscribe. Shout out to everybody that's been supporting me. It's really awesome. It's awesome feeling to know that I'm having fun. This has nothing to do with money. It's really time consuming, but it's fun. So please, please, please keep it up as far as the supporting and the talking about it. I love when people talk about it, and then I have people that I don't even know come to me and ask me questions. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap the show up. It's a solo cast. I'm sorry if this one is a little bit different. It is a little difficult to be by yourself. I do have notes that I've been looking at. But it is a little difficult when you don't have other people in the room to vibe off of. This I'm actually by myself right now. The baby is sleeping. So she's really been helping me on this. Continue to follow the show. Continue to support. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. And I hope to see you guys next week with a brand new show on Podcastillo. We'll do a sports talk. We'll do a fight talk. We'll do whatever it is that's big on hot topics and current events. But like I said, follow your dreams, guys. Don't ever let people tell you that you can't do something. Um, I hope to serve as inspiration to many people, and I hope that you guys could look at what I'm doing and say, hey, you know what? I really wanted to start a podcast on cooking, or I wanted to start a podcast on movie reviews or video game reviews. There's so many people that have all these things in their mind, but they keep them there. No, share that information with everyone else. You'll never know what can come out of it. So there you have it. Follow your dreams. If you know anyone that's in the media world and is looking to give somebody a shot, keep me in mind. If you know anyone that is has a product and they want sponsored, keep me in mind. Keep the show in mind. I will have merch out available shortly. You guys will be able to purchase a Podcastillo shirt, Podcastillo hat. Let me know what it is that you guys are interested in, and like I said, like I sincerely really mean, just thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next week. Peace.